Anime villains. Some people really like them. I don't get why.
Oh no, he's hot!
He's just usually with extra eyeballs, and some are more complicated than others. I haven't seen season 4 yet. While others start off meaning well.
First, I wrote the names of the worst criminals I could think of. Like I was cleaning up the world, one name at a time. No one will ever do anything evil again.
And then descend into madness. But today we're going to showcase and expose the worst villain in all of anime. And it's not who you think it is. Leave who you thought it was in the comments, or someone who you think is worse. But by the end of this video, I think you'll agree it's actually the one I think about the most, because as a viewer, you're powerless to help. And the emotions are intense, unless you're pure evil.
Couple of pests, that's what you are.
Welcome back, I'm Dusk, but you can call me Koala. Today we're going to discuss the worst villain in anime. Out of the hundreds of titles, this individual is by far the worst of them, because not only did they betray the trust of those who they were supposed to protect, but were also the genuine cause of their deaths, because they had the very opportunity to prevent it, but chose not to out of greed and selfishness in the worst way. In one of the most realistic depictions of what probably happened to real people decades ago, as the anime in question is based off of a novel that one person lived through. The story is a reflection on survivors' guilt. This one may be a bit too much to handle, so you have been warned. Because of the realism, this is probably one of the darkest anime ever animated. Not including that weird circus one with the puppy scene that no one should ever watch, and I don't understand why Japan also needed a live action version to be based on it. Actually, this one has a live action adaptation too, in case you want to watch real people reenact the scenes. Back to the main topic, the worst villain is...
Your mother will not be needing her kimonos anymore. Why don't I take them for you?
No! Their mamas don't take them!
So cutting down all the fantasy of other anime is how the choice was narrowed down to one woman, simply known as Aunt.
Welcome back. How is your mother?
While other anime characters would like to destroy the very planet they live on, this one is an absolute monster. And the anime film this villain originates from is Grave of the Fireflies, is a 1988 historical tragedy film by Studio Ghibli. While it's not directed by Miyazaki, the film is highly acclaimed, and Miyazaki himself considers the film to be a masterpiece. Directed by Isao Takahata, the film was released in a time where this dark part of Japanese history wasn't too long ago. For a bit further information, check out my video, The Ghost of Anime, where we go a bit more into the depth of the story and history behind Grave of the Fireflies. And if you haven't watched the movie, go watch it now, unless you're okay with spoilers and depression. But to summarize, the story starts off with the protagonist Seita and Setsuko already dead, as their souls are reunited while they relive their deaths in a post-war Kobe. During one of the air raids, Seita buries shelf-stable food just in case, as they are only able to carry very little. Unfortunately, their house is destroyed in the attack, where their mother is badly burned and shortly after dies from her injuries. After a night in the shelter, the children are sent to live with their aunt and her family, consisting of her husband and 2 children. Right away, Seita leaves the next day to retrieve the food he stored, and see what was left of their home. The only lucky break he has in the entire movie. A jar full of pickled plums, dried potatoes, herrings, butter, and a tin of Sakuma Drops candy, which will become important later on, and iconic throughout Japan because of this film. When Seita returns, he gives his aunt all the food, but hides the Sakuma Drops for his sister.
Dried bonito, herring, some dried potato, pickled plums, and I do believe this is butter. It's soldiers' families who always get the best.
Aunt clearly is jealous of military families, and this is probably the only reason she takes them into her home in the first place. This is where Seita confesses that his mother is dead.
My mom passed away while she was still at the school.
Then why didn't you tell me? Why were you hiding it? So she's dead. How awful. Well, you'd best write your father and tell him.
But at the same time, he gets no sympathy from his aunt. At least their cousin brought Setsuko new shoes. Then she expects Seita to go to school after his mother just died. But of course, his school was destroyed in the raids.
Seita, why aren't you up? Shouldn't you be going to school? Or something?
We were then treated to a family meal consisting of food Seita provided. as the aunt has already been cooking with it, and the dinners just get worse. As time goes on, Aunt sees the two as freeloaders.
Stop it! You two are nothing but trouble for me. Couple of pests, that's what you are. You can go live in that shelter for all I care.
Despite them being children, to the point where her whole family is eating bowls full of food, and Setsuko and Saita are only given broth. It's still a really hard scene to watch after finishing the film more than once, knowing what's to come. After growing tired of the abuse from their aunt, Saita decides to take his sister and run away, which Aunt is thrilled about. Later, the two try to live on their own. Spoilers again.
I'm so hungry. Daddy? Now Dad's gone too. He's dead too.
Which was the reality for a lot of children during this time. And you can only imagine that Saito's choice to leave the home was partly responsible for his and his sister's deaths.
She never woke up.
The rest I do blame on Aunt. As the caretaker and the adult in the situation, she had the power to keep them safe. She had the power to keep them from starving, but made the choice not to. And who knows, had the siblings stayed, would she have kicked them out anyways, due to how she was already treating them.
Do you think a lazy slug like you deserves the same as people who are working so hard for our nation?
And the worst part is that all we can do is watch, giving the viewer a very real sense of helplessness that feels heavy. And it's an anime film. While Miyazaki didn't think that Saito's actions were that of a military son, he did praise the film's emotional strengths. The story ends with the two siblings reunited in death as their souls watch the night sky over modern Kobe. Well, 1980s Kobe. And despite this scene, we are left with nothing but the heavy feeling, because not all stories have a happy ending, which is a line I've written before discussing this film. But it's one of tragedy, something that we who consume Western media aren't really used to, as in recent times it has become more common in film, traditional television, and games. That's why The Walking Dead and The Last of Us had such a huge cultural impact at the time of their releases. And you could not get away with making A Grave of the Fireflies in 2025. Instead of a masterpiece, it would be seen as a cruel depiction of starvation and twisted into the idea of torture, which it is not. That would never see the light of day in the US. You can't even have Genshin Impact PNGs on apple pie boxes at McDonald's. Leaving this film as an art piece of its era, a representation of another era, a time capsule within a capsule. And I know this all sounds like a rant, but that's because the deeper meaning and layers of the film have a very real impact, based on the real novel, based on very real events. And when you can discuss and analyze media on this level, it adds more of a reason why Aunt is the worst anime villain.
Honestly, those little brats are two of the worst.
Damn, she really said fuck them kids. Thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, go ahead and like the video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, hi. While you're here, binge some of the shorts. They're pretty fun to watch and a lot of work goes into them. And I'll see you on the next video or on Twitch. Bye. It's been a while since I made one of these. Oh, I do want to stream for fun again. There was a very long delay on things I was working on. Still is, but I'm hoping it'll be worth the wait. So stressful. Okay, I'm done.